William the Conqueror. William the Conqueror was an unlikely king of England. Born in France in 1028, he was the descendant from Rollo, the first Viking ruler of Normandy, and was a distant cousin of Edward the Confessor, who reigned as King of England from 1042 to 1066. By far William's greatest achievement, therefore, was that he became King of England. Once king, he effected social change in England, including restructuring the Anglican Church and rebuilding its cathedrals, and introducing a number of laws, including those abolishing English slavery. He is widely known for undertaking the first national census in 1086, known as the Domesday Book. Achievement 1. Becoming the King of England. Around the year 1051, the sitting King of England, Edward the Confessor, was still childless and needed to find an heir. Edward had earmarked William the Conqueror to be next in line with the tacit agreement from his brother-in-law Harold Godwinson. However, on Edward's deathbed in January 1066, he reneged on his promise and publicly declared that his brother-in-law Harold should succeed him to the throne. William was already a proven warrior who had forcibly secured his hold over Normandy and northern France. He was angered by Edward's change of mind and decided to use his troops to take the English throne by force. As William prepared to cross the English Channel in September 1066, King Harold was busy fighting the Norwegians in the north of England. After a long march south, the English army confronted William's forces just outside Hastings on the 14th of October 1066, where a famous battle ensued. Evidence for what happened in the Battle of Hastings can be found on the Bex Tapestry, a 70-meter long, 50-centimeter high tapestry showing the lead up to the battle and scenes from the battle itself, as well as archaeological evidence recovered from the battle site. The Battle of Hastings started at 9 in the morning and ended around dusk. William's 10,000 troops, comprising of infantry, archers, cavalry, were stronger than Harold's 7,000-strong army of predominantly infantry soldiers. Casualties on both sides were high, with approximately 2,000 French soldiers and 4,000 English soldiers perishing. After hours of brutal fighting, the battle ended when King Harold was shot in the eye, causing the British to surrender. Around 2 months later, on Christmas Day, 1066, William the Conqueror finally achieved his unlikely goal of becoming the King of England. Achievement 2. Effecting social change in England. William was a very Christian man, and when he came to power, he worked with the consent of the Pope to reorganize the Anglican Church by appointing new priests, some of which came from France, and by creating a clear and transparent leadership structure in the Anglican Church. He also rebuilt 9 out of the 15 cathedrals throughout England, which had been destroyed by wars. His son went on to rebuild the remaining 6 during his reign. William passed a number of new laws during his time as king. These were published in French and Latin in a 52-chapter law book called the Les Williamins. Some of these laws were intended to keep order amongst the people, and some had a religious element. Laws which were intended for social order included allowing people convicted of a crime to defend themselves, but punishing the guilty with blindness and castration. Laws which reinforced his religious beliefs included not allowing a man to sell another man, and legislating people to only worship one God. Achievement 3. The Domesday Book. In 1086, William ordered the first national land survey in England, known as the Domesday Book. We know this because the Domesday Book has survived till today and is stored in the National Archives at Kew. It not only covered land ownership, but also land use and how many animals of each type a family owned. William did this because he wanted a pulse check on the state of the English economy post the Norman conquest, so that he could raise taxes to fund his army. He also wanted to understand who the powerful families in England were at the time, with a view to protecting his position as king. William the Conqueror is often thought of as a tyrant who used force to get what he wanted, and there was little doubt he was a tough man who was brutal in battle and draconian in his choice of punishment for wrongdoing. Nonetheless, his achievements demonstrate many shining qualities. He had a good sense of management theory, as shown by his restructure of the church hierarchy and his decision to conduct a national survey of people's wealth before deciding to raise taxes. He was a very religious man, as demonstrated by his rebuilding of the Anglican Church and by many of the laws that he followed Christian principles. He had a strong sense of justice and order. It was his belief that Edward the Confessor had promised him the throne and then reneged on his promise that led him to invade England in the first instance. Furthermore, he was good at protecting his position as king, for example, by undertaking a national survey to identify potentially powerful rivals and by raising taxes to strengthen his army.